Opening bounce, round 2. The Kangaroos taking on Sydney. Petrie up in the ruck. Got the tap. Chance for Rawlings to get the first effective disposal to Simpson, and the Roos will go inside 50. Jones the target. Spills off his chest. Nix starting in defence. And it's picked off by Barry. Crucial factor in this afternoon's game. The run-off half-back from Leo Barry and Ty Kennelly. He dishes off to Jude Bolton. Beautiful kick. Nicely weighted, and he finds Buchanan on centre wing. Wheels onto his left boot. Inside 50. O'Keefe at the front of the contest. The man standing tall is Glenn Archer.
You've got Watts on Adam Goods there, Jace. Brown on Hall.
So they've lined up pretty much as expected. And Glenn Archer just holding it up. Comes to the commentary side. A one-on-one contest. Here's Wells. The Jet. Twisting and turning, sells a dummy to Kirk. Will work it back now to Petrie by hand. Petrie to the wing. The kick was looking for Thompson. It clears that contest. Pushing up the ground was Grant. Was clever. Clever to make peace. Released him at 60 metres. Goes to Big Sav. Almost. Not quite. Play on. Still alive for the Roos. Here's Michael Stevens. Handball to Grant. Sells a dummy. Goes long to the square. There's no one home. Getting back is Bolton. It bounces through for a goal. Touched. It's touched. Crowd excited. Touched off the boot. The field umpire was all over it. And through for a minor score.
Archer's certainly the free player at this particular point in time. He certainly would be pushing back and trying to chop off those leads to Barry Hall.
Good start, Shannon Grant. Finished not so good, but 15 second-half possessions last week really provided the spark for the Kangaroos. A good win against Carlton. Nix wide, Craig Bolton. Good pick-up since crossing down or moving down from Brisbane.
Rawlings certainly the matchup for Paul Williams too, Wayne.
Happy to hold it up and find a loose target. This occasion, Roberts Thompson tight on the boundary line. Kangaroos with the opening score. A bit of Shannon Grant. Jude Bolton. Short. Out wide. It's good. Ball stays in. Bolton gets the loose ball. Can come back inboard. Has got Buchanan stationary inside the centre square. Look out, Harvey closing late. Good support, Kennelly. Sydney with the numbers. Crouch to Ablett. Comes back inboard. Terrific handball. Opens it up for Buchanan. Aim on Buchanan. Shanks that. Lucky to score. One behind.
That's at boundary side. Here's Brad Seymour.
Thanks, Jason. Balmy 28 degrees at the moment. Picture perfect here, and we've got what we want. The Lee Brown-Barry Hall matchup.
Colbert receives from the kick-in. Handball over the top to the run of Rawlings, and they just poke it around the outer side here at Manuka. And Daniel Wells takes the mark despite that late pressure from Jude Bolton. Wells down the wing. Makepeace has found some space and some room to work in. Penetrating kick towards half forward. Jones the target, win it at one-handed. Never a chance to mark it. In fact, it's ricocheted off his boot and out of bounds on the full. The resultant free kick going to the Sydney Swans. Fantastic crowd in here. Holds about 15,000 Manuka Oval, and it is just about packed to capacity. Maxfield. Defensive 20 for the Swans. Searching lead from Kennelly. Stevens worked hard to get to the front of the contest, but in doing so ran himself under the football. And Petrie takes it to the line.
A couple of midfield matchups there, Jace. It looks like Farido's with Kirk. Rawlings on Williams. Pretty hard tag on Williams, you'd imagine.
Big job for Luke Ablett picking up Daniel Wells.
Back into the side this afternoon, Ablett, and with arguably the biggest job, defensive job in the lineup. Petrie inside 50 blindly. Straight onto the chest of Craig Bolton. They look to switch again. Here's the run from Barry and Kennelly. And with the Kangaroos going with a tall forward line, it could be a problem this afternoon. Goods to Nix, has got an absolute paddock around the outer side. Archer to confront him, but he can run to 65 and chip it over the top to Buchanan. Hall stands at the top of the square with Lee Brown. Hasn't led yet. There's space for him to go to, and they hold it up. Ablett. Now Hall leads. He breaks to the left-hand side as Ablett looks at it, and now doubles back to the top of the square. Lee Colbert standing about 20 metres out from goal to block the space.
In that instance, you've got Colbert back there, but you've also got Bolton loose up in defence, Sydney Swans.
So Ablett loads it up, goes long to the square, and there is Lee Brown. The extra tall in defence, Brown and Colbert. And Brown fist it through for a minor score.
And there also seems to be a bit of a rotation too, Jason, that Colbert then was actually getting back in front of Hall, whereas it was Archer in the first couple of minutes of the game.
Troy Makepeace to bring the ball back into play. Heads up the middle. Archer got some work to do. Too much on the ball. Bolton, Jude to Kirk from 48 metres. Heads towards the goal square. It's a terrific kick. Sydney have their first, courtesy of Brett Kirk.
It was, Wayne, and look, that's the pressure that obviously you can put on the guy who's the designated kicker. We see Troy Makepeace has just put a little bit too much on the kick to Archer, and he's obviously got the Sydney Swans player in Bolton, quick hands to Kirk, and he's kicked a good goal from just on the 50-metre line, so it might make Troy Makepeace now a little bit shaky if he has to kick in again.
Brett Kirk with a good record against the Roos in recent times, had 24 and 33 possessions against them last season and polled 3 votes last time they were here in round 4. And he starts with the opening goal of the game for the Swans. Petrie with the tap, looks to run onto it at ground level. Crouch to that man Kirk, and now Ablett. Sydney controlling the running early in the middle of this ground, and Crouch will go out wide and find Paul Williams. Colbert again the loose man, inside 50 for the Roos. Bolton will go straight in that direction. Colbert can drift back. Brown there as well, and they pick it off.
It's just a very poor kick. It's a wasted forward entry, and the thing that's happening here at the moment is Buchanan's on Archer, and he's trying to take him up the ground, but Archer's too smart for that. And the other one is that Colbert, as I mentioned, he's the loose one, and they've got Bolton loose in the Sydney Swans defence.
Watt to Brown. Can go for a run. Looking to set something up through the middle. Now Buchanan comes at him. Can use Pratt out wide. Pratt now uncertain of his options. Back to Brown. Swans have got back in numbers to put some pressure on. Comes towards the wing. Ferrito stands underneath it. Will receive a free kick. Was held in the contest. Michael Ferrito. Smack bang on centre wing. Rocker leads, now doubles back. Ferrito will chip it inboard and find Archer. A wall of players across half forward. Archer, spearing kick, and Rocker came again. I mentioned he double back. Put himself out on the double lead and got it 55 from home. Big Sav starts it to the right, works it back. No problem with the distance there. Off 2 steps, but only a minor score.
I think that was an important kick there, Jace. If Archer's going to be free or Colbert's going to be free, they've got to make themselves usable, and whoever gets the ball has got to look to go back into the corridor so they can get the ball in with some speed, as they did then with Archer to Rocker.
Swans, as we've grown used to seeing, quite happy to get numbers back quite quickly too, Gary, and clog up the space there that Big Sav Rocker's got to work in. So the key there is for the Kangaroos to get the ball in as quickly as they can. Williams to himself. Rawlings closing late. Heads out towards Roberts Thompson. Couldn't keep his feet. Whistle on play. Dragged down the Kangaroos play on this occasion, Michael Stevens.
And if they don't, Wayne, then Sydney's got a wall there, and then they can start their attack from half back.
Wells wraps around, drills the ball inside 50 towards Grant. Couldn't take it on the second attempt. Williams cleans up again. Has Kennelly. The zinc cream on the nose towards Hall. Good spoil. Brown has support. Gets the ball back. Michael Stevens out of sight of the ground, wing position. Goes inside towards Rocker. Good's got a hand on the ball. Loose ball. Crouch. Support with Kirk. Busy early, Brett Kirk has a goal to his name, to Maxfield, to Barry. Oh, shrugged off the tackle, or would-be tackler in Brent Harvey. Williams, jolly, look out, you're gone. Good play, Sav Rocker. Kept himself involved in the contest, rewarded with the free kick from 55 metres from goal.
Colbert coming off. Hale going on.
And pushing forward.
But look, that's great value from Big Sav there. A coach loves it when the forward line puts enormous pressure on the running defender.
Plays
in this
on.
case, the ruckman.
Poor marking, and Sav bangs it home from outside 52 metres. He has his first for the afternoon, and the Kangaroos are on the board.
Well, certainly another dimension that Big Sav has added to his game. He just seems to have rejuvenated his career, and that defensive pressure that he's been able to apply then to Jolly. Jolly certainly didn't have that feel that Rocker was coming from behind, and hence the reason why he was able to get him. He's obviously then been paid a free kick, and the quick mind to actually play it on then score a goal from just outside 50.
high on confidence at the moment. Severio Rocker already having a major impact on this game. And we're all locked up. We've played 10 minutes. Opening term at Manuka. It's going to be a tactical battle, as we knew. The two game plans, Roos and Laidley head-to-head. Hale into the ruck. Simpson held when not in possession. Umpire called play on. Goods poled in over the top. We'll have a secondary bounce.
The thing that our viewers wouldn't see, Jace, either, is that Archer's just quite happy to allow Buchanan to go to this particular stoppage, and he's sitting off by some 15 or 20 metres. Quick kick comes out, so 2-on-1 on Hall.
And the multiple benefit of also not congesting the stoppage in the middle, which is what Sydney liked. Jolly to win it at ground level, taken down by Hale, and we'll do it again. Yeah, the Swans like to get lots of numbers around the ball and force a lot of stoppages.
Especially around the midfield there, because it does open up their forward 50, and it gives the likes of Hall, Davis, plenty of space to move in.
Goods got the tap, but Grant hacked it off the ground. Nix one-on-one with Jones at ground level. Harvey came through, poked it to his own advantage. By calls play on. Ball inside 50 for the Roos. Matthews has to confront Nathan Thompson coming the other way. Umpire said no chance to dispose of the football, and we'll have a bounce.
Gary, just quickly, Brent Harvey played for the free kick. What would your advice be to a player that might have had a tendency to play for the free kick?
Well, really, in my book, Wayne, you just got to get on and play the ball on its merits. Don't play for the free kick. And if you do get one in your effort to go to the ball, well, you win it anyway.
Buchanan through traffic. Set it up nicely for Ablett, and now Bolton. Bolton can spear to 50. There's Archer, the man that was loose inside 50, as we mentioned, for the Kangaroos. And it's worked again. The give and get from Pratt to Archer. And now out wide finds Daniel Wells.
Coming up for possession for Good Shepherd, provided by Makepeace. Wells will go inside 50 towards Jones. Takes it.
The difference at the moment, Wayne, is that the Kangaroos are being able to get the ball into their forward 50 one-on-one, whereas when the Sydney Swans go forward, it's a 2-on-1 because Archer's back there free.
2 goals last week. Up forward for the Kangaroos. It's on the right side for a left footer. Gentle breeze favouring the end that Corey Jones will kick from. Will kick from just on 50 metres. Distance shouldn't be a problem. That's a magnificent kick. Corey Jones has the Kangaroos second.
It makes a big difference when your forwards can get on the lead, and of course you can pinpoint the ball. We see here that Harvey's off, Sainsbury on.
Just a different mix-up forward.
Yeah, it would be, just to give him a bit of a spell too, because as we said before at the start of the game, there's quite warm conditions. But the thing that the Kangaroos have in their forward 50, which is, we've already seen, pretty important, is the ability of their forwards to kick goals from long distances out.
Roos by a goal after 13 minutes. Corey Jones, magnificent finish. 2 goals last week, and another to add to his tally this afternoon. Hale in the ruck against Jolly. Jolly got the tap. Steaming through was Archer, and the path just opened for him. Glenn Archer on the burst towards Thompson. The kick missed its target. Still a chance for the Roos through Jones. It's picked off by Kennelly to Matthews. And now Roberts Thompson. He's under pressure as well. McVeigh sweeps the handball back, and they look to set up through Leo Barry, marshalling the troops. High kick towards Ablett versus Wells. Off the hands of Daniel Wells. Simpson at ground level. Wells got one in the back. It's coming back. It's coming back to Adam Simpson for the push before that one. Simpson to the lead of Petrie. Got the sit. Pressure came from Bolton. Free kick going the way of the Swans, taken high. And they get out of trouble there through Matthew Nix, but good defensive pressure from the Kangaroo forwards, really putting the Sydney defence under the hammer, and they need to do that because if they get free open rein from outside their own defensive 50, they'll cut you up every time. Here's Davis. Forward of the wing. Hall and Brown, one-on-one inside 50. They go to that contest now. Hall's got the set, not quite the mark. Still alive, it's still in on the boundary line. Hall prepared to concede some ground to maintain possession. And Davis can set up yet again.
The thing that Lee Brown can't do is let Barry Hall get behind him. Even here, at least he's leading outside the 50.
And that's exactly what he did. He went to double back. Lee Brown held his position, so Barry decided he'd lead short rather than push back and go deep. Goods in the pocket. Beautiful pick-up from Paul Williams. Turns on the afterburners. Williams on the left foot, bends it back right to the line and just misses. Bit of magic from Paul Williams.
It was probably a slow build-up when you look at the amount of times they kicked the ball there, Jace, but they certainly like to pinpoint their passes and will use the leading forward as much as they can. And they're probably a bit stiff then they didn't get the goal.
Makepeace, kick intended for Brown. He's outnumbered here, 4-1. Sydney Williams has a second attempt. Lovely ball, goes to Buchanan. Archer closing, great tackle, ties him up and wins possession. You'd expect nothing less of Glenn Archer. Sinclair, Ferrito, Maxfield arrives late. It's fair. Kick too much on it for Petrie. Craig Bolt takes an uncontested mark. Towards Jolly at centre half forward. Wells. 2 bites of the cherry. Oh, lovely skills. Got it off to Hale, who finds Grant. Defensive side of the centre circle. Towards Rocker. Got the front position. Barry with a good spoil. Sainsbury over the top. Arriving late was Corey Jones, as does Paul Bevan, and we'll have a bounce on the 50-metre arc. So we cross down to Brad Seymour.
Thank you, gentlemen. Just a quick one. Jared Crouch has come off. He's getting some attention to his calves. Expect him to only play about half of each quarter today.
So a bounce just inside 50 for the Roos. A lot of numbers around this one. Good's the third man up, but slapped at the way of the Kangaroos. Here's Jones. Handball to no one in particular, but Makepeace got it on the bounce. From 50, spears to the pocket and finds Pachoni.
That should give Troy Makepeace a bit of confidence, because probably his last 2 kicks coming out of defence haven't been all that good. But here he's just got the awareness to find Lance Pachoni, and the Kangaroos are going for quite possibly their 3rd goal in a matter of minutes.
So Pachoni, 26 goals, 10 in his 63 games. Crossed from Glenferrie Oval over the summer. Picked 4 in the 2005 pre-season draft. Starts at left, and that's where it finishes, a minor score. Entertaining contest.
It's that last ball up, Adam Goods. Risky decision there. Hitting it towards the Kangaroos' goal.
And wide open space as well.
Boundary line's your safest friend, Gary, wouldn't you think?
Well, we know that, mate. But again, was there any setup or any talk there for Adam Goods? You don't know, do you?
Barry plays on. Will always back himself in against Severio Rocker. Runs to defensive 50. Sainsbury came across to shut him down. Kirk to Nix, and now McVeigh. Swan's so good at running the football, but great pressure at the moment from the Roos, just not letting them get an easy possession coming out of defence. Hale forced to go for the fist from behind and did so. Then at ground level, the big man followed up his work. Good half volley taken by Kirk. McVeigh looks up, inside 50. Hall's got the sit on ground, will work him underneath it. We've seen it so many times. And Lee Brown, halfway through that kick, probably knew he was done and dusted.
Well, it's an awful position to find yourself in, as Wayne would know, when you know it's going to go over your head. But we spoke about this about 2 minutes ago, that, hey, Lee Brown can't afford to allow Barry Hall to get in behind him, because he's too strong and he's too smart for that. So if I was Lee, I'd be certainly wanting to play him from behind and push him up the ground as much as possible.
In fairness to Lee, probably looking for the quick kick out of that congestion, wasn't he? Wanted to have the front position in case it drops short. As Harvey returns to the field of play, Makepeace coming off, and McVeigh to be replaced by Jared Crouch. The ball's with Barry Hall from just outside 50. Looks good off the boot, bends back beautifully, and scores level once again at Monica. Big Bad Bustling gets his first for the afternoon. His 4th for the season, kicked 3-5 last week. And scores level 2-3 apiece. We've played 18.5 minutes.
It's interesting, Jace, how the game's unfolding. You've got Hall up one end, who's the go-to player, and you've got Severio Rocker up the other end with the Kangaroos. So it could be a shootout type game today with the way the conditions are and who gets enough ball in the midfield.
Shaping is a good contest, isn't it?
Can't get it much closer, Jace.
Thank you very much.
Barry Hall with his first goal for the afternoon. Jason Ball replaces Darren Jolly. Straight into the centre square. Adam Goods up onto the wing with Shannon Watt. Straight bounce. Ball got his hands onto that possession. Wells does the roving to Pachoni hurriedly. It'll bounce just outside 50. Over the top of Nixon Jones. Roberts Thompson there with Thompson. Did well, Nathan Thompson. Decides to go backwards to his teammate from Glenferrie Road, Lance Pachoni. Brady Rawlings back to Glenn Archer. Not a quarter he's had, the veteran for the Kangaroos. Barry Hall closing late. Brent Harvey to Simpson. Quite happy to soak up the clock and go backwards if need be, the Kangaroos, to find an open target. So the skipper goes out wide towards Hale. Too much on the kick. Matthews had to stand the ground. Did well. Got round one tackle. Sainsbury there for the second. Loose ball. Adam Goods over the top. We'll have a bounce.
Barry Hall closing late. There's 4 words you never want to hear out in a footy field. Mind you, the one benefit of being Glenn Archer is that he never has to hear Glenn Archer closing late when he's got it.
He might today.
The fans on the boundary line will certainly get their working this afternoon. Crouch infringed in the back. Recipient to be Brent Harvey. Disappointing 2004. He's looking for big things and gets onto a big torpedo. Problem is, no one back there for the Kangaroos. Ball's out of bounds. We'll have a throw in. Right forward pocket.
It was the Hail Mary without the Mary.
2-3 apiece here at Manuka Oval. Terrific afternoon for football. Ball and Petrie. Kennelly plays it safe. Rush behind.
Simpson and Kirk coming off there, Josh. Replaced by Harris for Simpson and McVeigh for Kirk.
Harris, 58 minutes last week. Didn't play as much of the game as we expected. Started on the bench again this afternoon. And the Swans, from the kick-in, have manufactured some open space for Bevan. Despite the awkward bounce and slipping over, still had plenty of time. Hale zones off him. Bevan goes inboard to Bolton. Craig Bolton.
Jude Bolton off, Jolly on.
The Roos massing forces across half-back, which is why Bolton was keen to hang on to it and wait for a short option to present himself, and it was Lewis Robert Thompson.
And if Sydney can manufacture getting this ball in, Jolly's on his own. Just inside the forward 50. Now actually Petrie's coming back. He's realised that he's on his own.
Goes to Goods, up in front, juggles it and holds it in front of Shannon Watt. And Bidas comes in, says settle down.
They are reluctant just about every occasion to waste the ball by kicking it in haphazardly. They always wait patient for a target.
You can see why. They've been picked off a couple of times already this afternoon by the likes of Archer and Colbert.
It's about trusting your skills, and if you think you're good enough and are patient and spot the target, which is a leading target, you can work the ball inside your forward 50.
Just about every Kangaroo was in front of Craig Bolton then. A couple of minutes of dead football. Ablett pokes it inside 50. Archer now does pick it off. High ball to the wing and a chance for the Roos to counterpunch. Jones. Harvey takes off. Has a couple of metres on Crouch. Goes further afield to Grant. Tried to work his man Barry over the line, but for Leo, fortunately got his hand on the football and took it with him.
The other thing too, Wayne, that I like about Barry Hall, even though he didn't take that mark, he still brought the ball to the front. And obviously Lukey Ablett's kick sort of half smothered, but we've now got Archer off and Colbert back on. Covering
plenty of ground, those two. Hence they're rotating the two veterans in this heat. Harris on into the action. Ball goes out for a throw in.
Brent Harvey, he's trying absolutely everything. Sometimes as a player you can tend to try too hard. Better off just relaxing, just trying to find his timing without going that little bit extra further. Hale got his way in front position, couldn't win the tap out. Grant, slick hands to Pachoni. Quick kick, Bolton. Rocker closing, did well. Nix palms it to Barry. Never too sure which way Leo's going to go. He heads out wide. Good lead and a good kick finds Schneider. He's got Bevan inboard. Schneider heads down to the line. Barry Hall on a long lead. Maxfield making his way to centre half forward. Barry Hall comes inboard to Bevan. Drills the pass to O'Keefe. Sinclair arrives late, but not in time.
I was just going to say, Wayne, that O'Keefe's been quite quiet so far in this game, but we know how important he is to the way the Sydney structure, especially up forward, goes. But just watching him then, he worked right up to that contest, basically at sort of half forward for Sydney, for the Roos. He's actually got the ball back inside Sydney's forward 50, so he's worked very hard back the other way.
1 goal, 1 last week. Will kick from 55 metres, normally a good kick. Won't get the distance. Petrie sees it over the line for a behind. Ryan O'Keefe has his first score for the afternoon. And again, scores all tied.
Makepeace with the kicking in duties. Swans have had a pretty effective defensive zone so far. Hence Makepeace takes the get-out clause and goes to the back pocket. Pratt goes towards the wing. Flying high over the top was Kennelly. Did it well. Brought it to ground. It's now wide open for 50. McVeigh can run to forward 50. Goes short and wide. Finds Schneider. He stands, bends it back and hits the post. Well, that's the danger with the zone. It was a great effort from Ty Kennelly. Forced it to the front and plenty of wide open space to run back into.
It was, and of course the viewers at home wouldn't have seen, but Nick Davis actually bolted back to the top of the 10-metre square then, and he was on for a nice deep kick. But again, I think this game, the pattern's emerging as we're seeing both sides getting numbers back, but there's going to be a little bit about turnovers, which side can get the fast break, and Rocker off and Simpson back on.
Again, looking for a different mix-up forward, Dean Laidley, as Watt goes short to Colbert. The Roos trying to find a way to just poke their way through this Sydney zone defence. Playing almost a full court press in basketball terms. Colbert to Watt. Goes short and finds Thompson. He's got Corey Jones one-on-one with his man, Roberts Thompson. Just beat him to it. It was a well-timed lead and a beautifully placed kick. Jones from 55 will attack the top of the goal square. They'll come from all sides. Harvey at the back couldn't quite hang on. Grant lurking with intent. Got boot to ball, bends it across the face of goal, and Leo Barry sees it out.
Don't be surprised, Wayne, if Paul Roos looks at a different matchup. Roberts Thompson taking off Corey Jones. He just looks like he's a bit too nimble and a bit too sharp.
Always dangerous, Shannon Grant. Near goal. Piccioni, can he get there? Does. Bevan sees him to the ground. One behind Lance Piccioni to go with his earlier shot on goal. Maxfield, captain, goes wide and short to Barry. As we approach quarter time, entertaining first quarter. Kennelly provides the short lead. Time for one more thrust forward for the Sydney, you'd think. Bolton, Craig, Hale stands the mark.
Got to say, I like the first half of this quarter better than the second half. As soon as you mentioned what an entertaining game it was, they fixed that up.
Goods.
It's interesting also too, we've had 14 scoring shots only for 4 goals.
Roberts Thompson. Well, plenty of possessions. They're yet to make their way to the wing position near side of the ground. O'Keefe pleads. Undecided, young Roberts Thompson. Will go long after all that. Oh, kick smothered. Simpson did well. That'll just about beat quarter time. Ball and Hale. Ball got the tap out. Harris, as we said, so often does, gets it out of the contest. Wells finishes with the ball and handballs towards Petrie. But that's quarter time here at Manuka Oval. 2-5, 17 apiece.
Last 10 to 15 minutes of that quarter weren't pretty, but they are a struggle. And whoever wins the 4 points this afternoon is certainly going to have to earn it. Looks like being a long, hard grind. Warm conditions, a good test for both sides. Quarter time, scores dead level. As we start the second term, scores dead level at Manuka, 2-5 apiece. Jason Ball into the ruck up against Nathan Thompson. Ball went early, Thompson palmed it down, Harvey ran onto it, and the Roos get a clearance through Rawlings. Inside 50, Nix tracks back, Kangaroo player down, it's Petrie, landed very heavily, and he's in a lot of pain. We'll come back to him shortly. There he is, right in your screen, as Ball goes to Goods. And Drew Petrie in a lot of pain. Brad Seymour will be all over that. We'll check down with Brad shortly. As Nix goes long inside 50. O'Keefe through his hands to the back of the contest. Lee Brown, now Colbert. Looks up, he's got a couple of runners in support. Archer can go down the line looking for Harvey. Couple to beat, Bolton put body on body. It'll sit inside the line for O'Keefe. Now a chance for the Swans. He's got Matthews at the top of the 50 and goes to him now as Petrie hobbles off. Looks like some sort of leg problem, maybe an ankle. Matthews, 60 from goal. The Roos pushing back numbers as Petrie goes straight up the race. Matthews out wide, they did it well. They left the opposite side of the ground wide open for Barry Hoare to lead into, and he obliged.
It was interesting, Jace, too, that kick that Matthews had initially when he actually took the mark, he could have went to Nick Davis in the same spot. He's actually waited for Barry Hall to get there, and he's presenting himself well. And look, the kick was well weighted.
There's Drew Petrie going to ground, landed very heavily. Brad Seymour checking on his condition as we speak, and we will hear from Brad shortly. As McVeigh comes off, replaced by Darren Jolly. A chance for Barry Hall to strike the first blow in the second term. Punches it through the air. Body language and the crowd behind the goals tell the story. Started at left and finished it there to the narrow side. Swans lead by a point. We've played 2 minutes second term.
You'd like to get a statistic, Wayne, on how many times the Sydney Swans go to Barry Hall on a lead in a game.
It'd be more than 50%, I think, Gary, and with good reason. Sinclair, ball, did well, got his hands on it. Thompson there to put pressure. Harvey tracks it over the boundary line, will have a throw in.
Interesting to see in the middle of the ground in that first term. Hit-outs were 12-3 in favour of the Swans, yet clearances around the ground 9-2 in favour of the Roos. So they're just roving to the Sydney ruckman very effectively.
Ball, got it to Kirk, Pachoni, squeezed a handball out towards Simpson. Rawlings, Williams arriving. Harvey, tight on the boundary line, did well, Brent Harvey to Rawlings. They've got the runners now, the Kangaroos. Ferrito, one of those, heads towards Jones in the pocket there with Nix. Either a free kick, but a good mark going back with the fight of the ball, Corey Jones. From one end of the ground to the other, Gary, the miss by Barry Hall, ball gets reloaded up the other end. Kangaroos now have a shot at goal.
Could be a 2-goal turnaround here, Wayne. And the other thing is that Corey Jones used his body really well. He just kept Nix far enough off the ball by leaning back, and the ball obviously subsequently fell into his chest, but also too he got a bit of a smack around the chops as well. But he's a fair chance to kick this one here, I would say.
Jones will kick from just inside 50. Starts it out left. Give a bloke a rap.
I want Sydney to win today, Wayne.
Not sure how your voice carried from 120 metres, but it seemed to.
Corey Jones, disappointing finish.
Heard footsteps.
Scores level again. Kennelly with the ball in his hands decides to play on. Gains 20 metres. Goes to Roberts Thompson. Nathan Thompson went early, spilt to the back, and Pratt. Body pressure came from Nix and forced the error. Out of bounds on the full as we head down to Brad Seymour.
Yeah, Drew Petrie has a severe cork to his right upper leg, gentlemen.
Nick Davis called to play on now. Now Bolton inside defensive 50.
You'd like someone to break the space here, Wayne, just so they can actually make something happen, but it's just very stop-start, and some Sydney Swans need to break the other side of the ground, or in this case, Davis is on his own.
Barry back to Davis. Barry Davis. Now Goods.
You're right, Gary, they're not breaking even when a teammate's going to win possession.
Williams on centre wing. Rawlings went to ground. Williams got some space and used it. Chipped down the line. Sainsbury put his body in. Ground level, Bolton. Shunted it to the boundary line. Got a free kick for one in the back. It's Pachoni, can't believe it. So what confronts Jude Bolton? Plenty of numbers in front of the ball once again. Will go short laterally to Ball. Again, they leave the opposite side of the ground wide open for the key forwards to lead into. Barry leads there now. Here comes Hall. Beautifully played. You can see it coming. It must be frustrating the living daylights out of Dean Lately to sit up in the stand and watch it. You can see it happening. All the Sydney forwards massed to the right forward pocket, leaving the space open for Barry to lead into. It's worked twice this quarter.
It has, Jace, but also too, what it did show them was the kick that squared back into the corridor. It opened up the play, and Bolton was quick enough to seize the initiative and then get it in quickly to Hall, as you said, who did lead to the other side of the ground. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to keep going back into the corridor.
Looking at it from the other perspective, how do you prevent it if you're the Kangaroos' defence?
Well, you wonder why Bolton's on his own, number one. So how can he receive that short chip kick?
Hall starts it right. Right to the line. It's still there for the Swans. Sinclair twisting and turning. It's still alive on the goal line. In the end, numbers went out for the Roos. Colbert, handball to Archer. And they'll run it from half back through Shannon Grant.
decides to go long. That kick favours everyone but David Hale. Roberts-Thompson. Ferrito with a good tackle. Crowd want ball. Kennelly has support there. Holding the ball. Good strong tackle. Eddie Sainsbury rewarded with the free kick. Both sides added to behind in this second quarter. Rocker on a strong lead. We'll meet him on the half volley. Barry. Schneider. Kirk on the boundary line. Oh, good running, Jude Bolton. They're away now, the Swans. Next possession important towards Buchanan. Archer there has support, and Thompson. The big man goes short. Watt. He's got Jess Sinclair inside the centre square. Switches the ball. Go further afield to Brown if he wants.
Rawlings.
Over the top to Rawlings. Well spotted, Gary. Arriving late, Jude Bolton. Got a fist to the ball. Well done. Good second effort, Rawlings. Wins himself a free kick. Sinclair receives the handball. Forward of the centre circle. Keeps the ball low. Hale. 2 bites of the cherry. Couldn't take the mark. Goods on the rebound. Goes towards, well, it was intended for Barry Hall, but that's a poor kick. Favours Pratt. He has support there in Lee Brown. Ignores him. Towards Sainsbury, outnumbered. Crouch, got a hand to it. Ablett on his hands and knees. It was Kennelly. Simpson, the Kangaroos, inside 50 again. Ball getting back. Too much on it for him. Towards Davis. Deep in defence. Brent Harvey gets a hand in there, sees the ball out of bounds.
Kangaroos may have said to Nick Davis, just go into the play. Get yourself out of that sort of stationary position up deep in their forward line. So put another number behind the ball again, just adds to the congestion a bit more again.
Right.
Come on, Jason.
Ball.
Get into the game, son.
Over the top. And there's a chance for a goal. Saved right on the line by Leo Barry. And now a chance for the Swans to run it out. Tough to get excited when Manchester United score more goals than Sydney and North Melbourne. Goods. Kirk on centre wing. Here's a chance for the Swans to build. They've got some space inside 50. Inboard to Bevan. Takes on the tackler. That was a mistake. Watt. And the turnover came. North Melbourne player down. Rawlings in over the top of it. Williams tries to farm it out. Kirk. Bolton. Ball's got some space. 60 from home. Can go to 50 and wind it up. And go for home. And miss. And there's a bit of a blue on centre wing between Williams and Rawlings. A Kangaroos player down that laid that heavy tackle. It's Daniel Pratt. And still they scuffle. Here's the tackle on Bevan. It was a ripper. Arm just slipped high as it turned out there. And he's landed
hit his head
very awkwardly, hasn't he? He's taken Bevan's full body weight flat on his back. And he's coming off very, very groggy indeed, Daniel Pratt.
And I think Paul Williams might have to make his way. Yes, he will, with a big cut over his left eye. Brady Rawlings and Paul Williams, they've been at it for the last 5 or so minutes. Somewhere in there, somehow, Paul Williams' eye has been cut up nicely.
It's Francis Burke-esque.
He doesn't look too happy with Brady Rawlings either. Back to the footy, though. That was probably a wasted chance.
And Rawlings taking him all the way to the line. Brady Rawlings as Paul Williams comes off. Rawlings as well. And no love lost between those two. Both off with the blood rule. And one gets the feeling that mightn't be the end of that this afternoon. There might be more to come. Bit of spice into the game.
Colbert receives from Sinclair. Not the greatest promotion of AFL football. A sloppy match. Well, just on cue, I guess. Colbert looked for Harvey. He was free. Missed the target as Brady Rawlings wipes off some blood.
In this sort of game, Wayne, you just want something to actually crack open. The players need to keep persisting. Someone needs to try and take this game by the scruff of the neck.
Harris. Good extraction, only as far as Davis. No 15, play-on's the call. Davis. Intersection of the 50-metre line, heads towards the square. Jolly got his hands on it, but Brown with a good spoil. He wants out of bounds on the full, but we'll have a throw in. Left forward pocket. Sydney trailing the Kangaroos by 1 behind.
Dangerous throw in. Right to the top of the goal square for the Swans. We see the conga line as players try to pick up others. Sinclair wrapped up by Kirk, the #1 tackler in the competition the last 2 seasons. You do well to get out of a Brett Kirk tackle. We'll have a ball up. Here's another look at Williams versus Rawlings 1. Give an assist to Michael Ferrito. Quick snap out of that contest from Bolton to the top of the square. Hall and Jolly, the tall timber there for the Swans. Thompson swats towards the boundary line. Davis trying to create something. No space and no support. Ferrito. McVeigh still keeps it alive for Sydney. Persistence, will it pay off? O'Keefe inboard. Hall, Crouch through traffic, shoots and goals! Persistence paying off. The Swans refuse to let that ball go out because you just never know.
Well, you don't. And, of course, Jared Crouch played it very smart. He allowed Barry Hall there to actually make a genuine contest. The ball's carried over the back, and once the ball hit the ground, Crouch pounced, had the presence of mind to straighten up and kick a good goal, which in the context of the game is vital.
Here's another look. Oh.
Enough said.
He said something at the split open.
Schwabby?
Well, they'll have a reason there to have a look at that, one would think. Paul Williams gets some work done to repair that cut. First goal for the second quarter, courtesy of Jared Crouch, who's running with Brent Harvey at the moment. Jolly and Thompson. Jolly over the top. Simpson hacks it out of the air towards Hale and Roberts. Thompson closing late. Ben Matthews did well. Took on a couple of Kangaroos players. Finds Buchanan. Links up with another youngster in Ablett. Jude Bolton. Quickly turns around, but that's straight down the throat of Glenn Archer. The Kangaroos veteran enjoying himself this afternoon with possession number 10. There's Harris. Moves the ball quickly to Grant. Promising build-up here for the Kangaroos. Corey Jones wants it long. Sav goes short. Thompson, Roberts Thompson that is. Plugs the hole and takes an easy mark.
Goes by hand. Schneider tries to draw Makepeace and does successfully. Now to Matthews. McVeigh gets the kick away. It was a good chase from Makepeace. He followed up. Hall again, just had the sit on Lee Brown. Loves to wheel around and play on Barry. Goes to the top of the square. Nick's in best position and marks. Swans just able to break it open and create some space. Get the ball inside 50 before the Roos could get back. And a chance to put back-to-back goals together.
It mightn't be pretty, but it was all started by Lewis Roberts Thompson there. He's actually left his man, got in front of Severio Rock, and it's amazing how many times the opposition can actually make a thrust and go into their forward 50, but it was a position that Lee Colbert wouldn't want to have found himself in. The kick was carrying over the back. He's running back with the flight of the ball.
Paul Williams back on the ground. Brady Rawlings still on the bench at this stage. The ball with Matthew Nix, the veteran. For a handy break in the context of the game, just pushes it across the face and hits the behind post. Out of bounds on the full. Here's Paul Williams back into the fray. Roos want to switch play, bring it back to the commentary side. Archer. Go towards Ferrito. Here's Williams in the action. Ablett. Accommodating bounce. Pressure came from Ferrito. Might have affected the kick to 50. Here's Nix, slick hands to Kirk, bangs it on the boot inside 50, numbers to the pocket if the ball can stay alive. Coming across was Watt, paddling to his own advantage was Buchanan, can line him up and bang it through for a behind. The Swans creating opportunities in the last 5 minutes.
They are, Jason. Look, they've upped the ante. They just seem to be the side that's actually got better system at the moment. But one thing Dean Laidley might consider is perhaps putting Shannon Watt onto Barry Hall. I think he's cutting up Lee Brown at this stage.
Sinclair towards Harvey. Good spoil, Buchanan, Archer. Harris sees the ball out of bounds.
It's that boundary side. Here's Brad Seymour.
Thanks, Jason. Just updating Drew Petrie's condition. He's back running along the sideline as I speak after suffering that severe cork. Paul Williams is also back on the ground after receiving stitches to his forehead.
Simpson heads towards the safety of the boundary line and will go again.
We talk about Lee Brown getting cut up by Barry Hall. One thing Lee Brown got last week was great support from Lee Colbert and the other defenders. What the Swans have managed to do this time is get Barry Hall one out. There's no support for Lee Brown.
That's true, Jason. Of course, the other thing is that the Shannon Watt, Adam Goods thing's a bit of a nil-all draw at the moment, so maybe just need someone just to play tight on Barry
Ball
Hall.
won the free kick. Advantage paid to Williams. Goes across the face of goal. Terrific kick. And finds Nick Davis. The mercurial forward pocket player will line up from goal. And there's a 50-metre on play. And you'd think that's against Kangaroos player for giving the umpire a verbal assault. Well, it's a tight angle already, Gary. That'd be very disappointing for Dean Lately as a coach.
Well, you'd be filthy because you've actually got him on the angle, and it's going to be percentage-wise a much more difficult kick, but now you're actually giving him one and saying, oh, thank you very much.
And it's cost the Roos a footy.
So Lee Colbert, the infringer there, gave away the free kick, gave a serve to the umpire. Nick Davis gets his first of the afternoon, and all of a sudden, we've got a 14-point margin in favour of Sydney.
We don't want the players to be robots, Wayne, but your frustration has got to be taken out on the ball or the opposition, not at the umpire, because as far as I know, he won't change his mind.
Not often. And again, we see the Swans successfully using the opposite side of the ground, switching play inside 50.
They open up the corridor very well, and the thing is what they're doing to the likes of Davis and Hall is that they're very well-weighted kicks, and they go to the advantage side of the leading forward.
Some problems for Dean Laidley to solve. How are they going to restructure that defence to try and block up a bit of space on the opposite side of the ground? Because the Swans have been very clever going inside 50. They're moving to one side of the ground, leaving space to the other side, and using it effectively. Watt went looking for Makepeace, bumped off it by Goods, who went to ground. A foot race, Bevan and Piccioni both run over the top of it. Makepeace gathers, he'll be run down. Harvey, quick hands, Piccioni ridden into the ground by Bevan, will get a free kick. It's going to come back by Darren Goldsmith with some instructions for Lance Piccioni. Blows time on, and away we go. Inboard to Sinclair. Now the Kangaroos doing exactly the same. They're bringing all their forwards to one side of the ground. You can see in the top left of your picture, wide open space to the opposite side to lead into. Trying to manufacture the same thing, but what Jess Sinclair's got to do is get the ball across, and maybe that's the kick to do it. That'll now open up the angle, because Archer can go directly across the ground to Brown, but in the time that's taken now, the Sydney defenders have now drifted across to cover that side as well.
And the other player that was in the hole there too in relation to the Kangaroos forward 50 was Big Jolly. So that again forced them wide as well.
Just needed to switch it quicker and look to the opposite flank. It's taken too long, so now maybe they'll come back to this side. Archer in the end decides to just bang it long, hope for the best, and that's what happens. Anything can happen when two blokes go up for the football. No talk. Rawlings gathers, bends it back to the goal square. Off the pack and through for a minor score. No free kick. It's going the way of the Roos. So they held it up in the end. Glenn Archer decided to just bang it in, hope for a contest. Anything's possible, and in that case, the Swans were their own worst enemy.
Well, they were, and of course, it's caused this particular situation with a shot on goal because there was no talk. Jolly had the sit. The other Sydney Swans player didn't have the presence of mind. There's a collision, and all you got to do is go to the hot spot, which we talk about, which is that sort of 10, 15 metres out. Stevens gets a free kick and kicks a goal.
Vital goal is for the Roos, and Stevens puts it through. He gets his first. The Roos get their third. The margin back to 8 points as we hit time on in the second term.
One player, Jason, I think, has done a super job for the Sydney Swans is Jared Crouch on Brent Harvey. He certainly, to my mind, has been very, very quiet.
There's the free kick, a holding decision against Kennelly. Not patently obvious.
Well, it was over the shoulder, so of course the umpire's just got to play what they see.
So Michael Stevens, it's his first goal for the afternoon. Margin back to 8 points. Bounce favoured. Hale has a second attempt. Harris will want a free kick, holding the man there against Maxfield. Harvey got it to Rawlings. Being busy this afternoon. A couple of alterations with Paul Williams, his sparring partner. Colbert. Hall arriving. Well, lucky there, Lee Colbert. Barry Hall in the back with the Burley full forward. We've already said it a couple of times, arrived late. this occasion infringed. Brady Rawlings.
Mate, please.
Stay in. Does. McVeigh chasing towards Thompson. Rocker. Leo Barry got a hand in there. Roberts Thompson, the Swans rebound. This time, Maxfield can go short. Has Matthews. There's a bit of time, Ben Matthews. Brings the ball out to the near side of the ground. It's a well-weighted kick, finds Buchanan. Will want to get onto the left boot. Steers the kick down the throat of Matthew Nix. We've talked about it a number of times, Gary. If you move the ball in quickly, you give your forwards every opportunity.
Well, that's the flow that we spoke about, Wayne. And what the Sydney Swans do very well, as we know, is they've got that ability to draw players to the contest, one over the top, quick handball. They then link up through the midfield, and that was just a super kick to Nix. But one thing that Paul Roos did do, and I believe he's looked at the scoreboard, he put Adam Goods into the Kangaroos forward line just before that centre bounce, another number behind the ball again.
4 possessions last week, kicks from 52 metres, but pulls the kick to the left for a behind.
Missed opportunity for Matthew Nix. The margin now 9 points. Drew Petrie back into the action, looking pretty proppy. Just ran the boundary line to try and get some blood flow back into that leg. He's back into the action. We'll see how he goes between now and half-time.
See with that defensive punch, that's actually a win for the Sydney Swans, because now they've actually got a throw in. So they've kept the ball on around about that 50 metres out from goal.
Jolly to the front. Matthews' tap went straight to Harris. Ridden into the ground by Bolton. The free kick will go the way of the Kangaroo midfielder. Dying stages of this second term. Shannon Watt breaks hard to the middle of the ground. Harris spots him now. He's got a mismatch with McVeigh. The ball hits the ground. The Roos could be in trouble, because here comes Kennelly. Watt's got to go himself. Numbers in the end win out for Sydney. McVeigh, Nix is set up and crunched by Sinclair, but he got one in the back as well. Fortunate Matthew Nix. Hospital handball. Flat-footed. Pummeled from behind. That
transitional kick then to Shannon Watt was a bit high risk or high reward, depending on which way it went.
Here's Hall, 70 metres from goal. The lead comes from Davis in the pocket. Tidy from Big Barry. Nick Davis will kick from 55. Tough angle, but he's a magnificent finisher. 142 goals, 81 coming into today's game. It's a fantastic conversion rate. 4-1 last week. He's already got one this afternoon. Davis from 55. Loads it up. Looks good, but just misses. 1-1 for Nick Davis. 10 points the margin. 24 minutes gone, second term. Daniel Wells doing the kicking in duties. Hasn't had a touch in this quarter. Daniel Wells been on the ground for about 15 minutes of it. Spent some time on the bench. Dean Laidley just trying to get his star youngster back into the game as he goes short to Lee Colbert.
Deep in defence, Archer breaks wide, and that's where he'll head. There's Barry Hall as his opponent. Good kick, well weighted. Kangaroos veteran up to the task. Possession number 15 coming up. Towards Petrie, just back onto the ground. 2 Swans collide. Unfortunately for the Kangaroos, Petrie couldn't keep the ball in play.
The way the game's going too, Wayne, is that neither midfield seems to be really in full swing. And if you've got someone like Glenn Archer, who's actually had, I think, 15 disposals for the game, it says a bit where the ball's actually been most of the game. He's been dropping off.
And then Bolton for the Swans. That's Craig Bolton, has 12 at the other end. Same scenario.
Williams went without it. Jolly, fresh air. Harris got the handball out. Rawlings, Paccioni's got himself into some space here. Gets inside 50, tight on the boundary line. Bevan arrives late. Lance Paccioni, well, it was a good attempt. The wrong side of the post for a behind.
With the way the game's being played too, that actually most of the shots on goal have been from out very wide, not in the corridor.
Jones forces a contest. Chance here for the Roos. He's gone down hurt as well. Looks to be okay. Watt. Now Michael Stevens. They're queuing up on the outer side again. Grant's calling for it to kick to the space. Stevens hasn't seen him. He's one-on-one with Matthews at just to the left of his screen. Can't quite see him. Spotted him now. Goes to the one-on-one. High ball and Grant takes it. Well, it was the contest to kick to. It was there for a while and it just took Michael Stevens 15 or 20 seconds to spot it.
And Shannon Grant was just able to hold Matthews off in that particular marking instance. But what he did do well was take an excellent one-handed grab. But the kick was probably not the right kick, but at least it was weighted to his side in that marking contest.
So Grant to pull one back for the Kangaroos. Just protected the drop zone there. Did it well. He's a class act. Traded the end of 97 for another class act, a man named Wayne Schwass. And Grant misses. 2 behinds to Shannon Grant. 8 points now the margin as we close in on half-time. Just over 2 minutes remaining as Sydney skipper Stuart Maxfield gives us the teapot stance. Not sure of his options, waiting for something to present itself. Decides he'll go himself now, see what he can create from the defensive goal square. High ball, should suit Petrie and does. Could come straight back in. Again, they call to the opposite side of the ground for some space. They're queuing up. Hale, the big man. What's his finish like from 45? Pretty good. Well, the Roos have twigged to what the Swans are doing at the other end, and they're giving them a bit of their own medicine back. Use the far side of the ground, create some space down this side. And in that situation, a turnover when there's such a heavy zone can be so costly.
Well, Maxfield got himself into trouble then, because in the end he probably turned on his wrong leg, but there was a long kick. Petrie had the drop. He's squared the ball back up through the corridor, and actually Hale, for his size, is a really good mover, and he's also a very, very accurate kick for goal.
1 goal last week, 1 this afternoon. An important one for David Hale. The margin 2 points. As we approach half-time. Touch under 2 minutes remaining. Neither ruckman got a hand of the ball. Jude Bolton gets it heading towards forward 50. Makepeace, one-handed, couldn't take possession. Schneider had an attempt fresh air. Wrapped up by Ferrito, and we'll have a bounce.
Paul Roos wouldn't be too happy that the Kangaroos have had 3 shots on goal in the last minute of the play. So coming into half-time, you just want to be able to keep that lead that Sydney had at that point, which was about 8 or 9 points.
Nick Davis, one out in the goal square with Jess Sinclair. Simpson, apologies. Plenty of players around the contest. There's Big Hale and Jason Ball. A couple of the dinosaurs shaping up, ready to go toe-to-toe. Common sense prevailed there.
Hale and pace, it could have been possibly.
Just over a minute remaining. Important bounce. Jude Bolton does the ruck work. His opposing number. Ferrito got the tap out. Williams wants to square the ball up. Good kick finds Bevan. They move it quickly. They're a chance to score. Bevan doesn't wait around. Goes towards Buchanan. Getting back there, doing well on that occasion was Michael Stevens. Brett Kirk, wrong side for a left footer to the goal square. Hall will fly. Brown did well. But on a juggled attempt, Harry Hall couldn't take the mark. Good decision by the goal umpire, 1 behind.
Kangaroos escape with 30 seconds left on the clock. 3 points the margin, and Jess Sinclair happy to hold it up. Archer breaks to the opposite pocket, but this time of the quarter, Jess Sinclair loath to take too many risks. Goes short to Colbert, and he can now go back to Rawlings. Run the clock down. That'll just about do it for half-time. Half-time at Manuka Oval in Canberra. It's been a struggle, a strategic battle, a chess match, basketball game, soccer style, call it what you like. The bottom line is the Swans lead it by 3 points at the main break. Sydney 4-11-35, the Kangaroos 4-8-32. All single goal kickers in this game. Hall, Davis, Crouch and Kirk for the Swans. Stevens, Jones, Rocker and Hale for the Roos. Half-time, the Swans by 3 points. As we start the third term, the Swans by 3 points. Hale in the ruck against Jolly. Neither an effective tap. Hale tries to butter up at ground level. Maxfield comes in, lays some body on Daniel Harris. We'll have a secondary bounce.
matchups as they were in the first half, Jace. You've got Williams and Rawlings. You've got Shannon Watt and Goods, just to name two.
Matthew Nix playing deep for the Swans with Jess Sinclair in the defensive goal square. Here's Jude Bolton from the congestion. Bangs it on the boot. A race between O'Keefe and Archer. Sydney Sider will get there first. Keeps it in front of himself. Boundary line looming. Throw in.
Crouch still running with Harvey.
Shannon Grant starting deep inside 50 for the Kangaroos.
Kirk and Simpson is another matchup in the midfield.
Hale to the front. Simpson third man up, and so often the case with the Kangaroos. Can butter up and get his own ball. Coming in from the opposite direction was Schneider to force a contest. We'll have yet another stoppage.
We talked about Luke Ablett on Daniel Wells. 7 first quarter possessions for Daniel Wells. Hasn't touched it at this stage, and that's just a touch over a quarter without possession of the ball. So it's a good job thus far by Luke Ablett.
Excellent performance. First game back for Luke Ablett. Harris and Jude Bolton scrapping at ground level. Harris trying to keep it going. Umpire held back on blowing the whistle to try and get something started. Nothing doing. Another ball up.
Colbert loose back inside. Obviously the Kangaroos defensive 50 there, just in front of Hall.
Jolly down to Jude Bolton. Good tackle, Harris. The ball trickles out of bounds for a throw-in. Buddy Rawlings just getting some treatment from Darren Jolly on his run-through. Jolly with strength. Held out Hale. Harris on his hands and knees. A couple of real goers there, Harris and Kirk. And we'll have a bounce. Early stages, third quarter. 4-11 Sydney, 4-8 the Kangaroos. Jolly again. Kirk needs to be good. Handball.
In the back.
Tender for Goods. Got himself a free kick back. Brett Kirk, the recipient. 10 possessions in that first half. Good story, Brett Kirk. The listener from the club put onto the rookie list. Has become an important player. Bolton towards Buchanan. Archer couldn't get a hand on the ball. Aim on Buchanan. The first for the third quarter. Keeps it low. Hands on the board. Aim on Buchanan. Opens up the scoring in the second half.
Glenn Archer would be a little bit disappointed there. It seemed to be a little bit of all or nothing. But once again, that kick from Kirk came back through the corridor, and that was probably the quickest that we've actually seen the ball get inside Sydney's forward 50 with some sort of purpose. And Buchanan actually did well to finish that off at top speed. So it was a good finish for the start of the quarter.
We mentioned there's only 2 ways to beat the flood. Get it in quickly or be very, very patient and accurate with your feet.
They squared it up, Jace. That was the important kick too.
First blood to the Swans in the third term. Margin back out to 9 points. Eamon Buchanan with his first goal for season 2005. Jolly and Hale to continue their battle in the middle of the ground. Hale got a tap to it, then went again. Just caught one high. We'll get a free kick. David Hale, such a big responsibility thrust onto his shoulders. Is the club's #1 ruckman playing game number 16 this afternoon. Shannon Grant takes the mark. Dishes out a bit of treatment to Jared Crouch. Crouch now is brought back to the 50 to stand the mark.
I think an interesting move from Dean Laidley too, Wayne, has been the fact that they've got Petrie back on the ground. He certainly looks like he's hindered by that particular knock on his leg, and Thompson's actually on the fence, unless he's going to put him through the middle of the ground.
Grant from 52 keeps it low, didn't make sweet contact to the top of the square. Ben Matthews kept his eyes on the football and took an uncontested mark. Eyes darting around. Matthews looking for the right avenue from their defensive 50. He goes to Kirk. Called to play on. Umpire said didn't travel the required distance. Leo Barry goes for a run. Harvey to run him down. It was good pressure. Barry just got boot to ball. Dribbled it to the line, and we'll have another throw in.
Jared Crouch cleaned up here on the left shoulder by Shannon Grant. And I've just noticed he's lame on that left shoulder. He's suffered an injury when Shannon Grant ran into him, and I'm not quite sure if that was the Cook shoulder he injured in the International Rules Series.
He's done well to actually get back and have that sequence of games still going, hasn't he, Wayne?
Break the record next week, providing he gets through. Murphy's record. Hale brings the ball to the back of the contest. Buchanan, the goal scorer, early stages of the third quarter. Can't quite pick it up. Now he does. Ablett, we've talked about his job on Wells. Towards Barry Hall. Wrong side of the boundary line. Lee Brown to take the free kick. Just starting to see the game open up a little bit here, Gary.
Most certainly, and you'd have to say that Sydney are on top at this particular point in time, even though it's only a 9-point lead. But they certainly seem to be playing a much more fluent brand of footy, and they seem to have a bit of urgency about them, whereas the Kangaroos are just trying to get into that gear.
Lee Brown goes long. Kennelly flew. Jolly decided to do the roving for a big man and did it well. Matthews got it to Nix. They've got numbers here, Sydney. That's not a good handball. Put Craig Bolton under pressure. Paul Williams towards Kirk on his hands and knees. Somehow the ball came out. Ends up with Williams. Just got pushed as he got the kick away, but Schneider was in front. Needs to be clean here. Make peace. Ball's tied up at the moment. Maxfield doing his best as we cross down to Brad Seymour on the boundary line.
Paul Williams is suffering from a 3 to 4 centimetre laceration, gentlemen, in that indiscretion with Brady Rawlings. Will need stitches after the game. Drew Petrie is out there under sufferance. He is hobbling around, and Daniel Pratt, after hitting the back of his head on the ground, is stunned.
Watt. Nix under pressure from Archer. Stevens paddles to the advantage of Makepeace. Umpire said he threw it.
Gary, I really like that rule where they ping the player for diving on the ball. We've just seen a lot of players in the last, or this round and last week, just get the ball out at all costs. Good rule.
Well, they can adjust because no one likes to see a player bring the ball back underneath them, especially when they're laying on the ground. So I think it's a good initiative for the umpires to let it flow a little bit more.
Schneider wanted to get onto his preferred left. Archer was a wake-up to it. In the end, Schneider blazed away, but never really threatened the goal face. His second minor score of the afternoon, and the margin now 10 points. 7 minutes gone, third term. Big crowd in at Manuka Oval. Ground capacity around 15,000. And the number would have to be right up around that this afternoon. Harvey faked one way, ducked back the other. Bit of work off the ball from Lee Colbert. Coming over the top was Simpson. Good effort. Juggling mark. Handball to Sinclair. The Roos want to move it quickly. Switches play. Harris has got to stand underneath it and does. Awkward looking kick. Could be a turnover coming. Flashing through was Ablett. Put his body on the line. Harris now gathers. Stevens lines up. Goes for it. Gets it. Michael Stevens kicks his second. And the Roos hang in. The margin now 4 points.
It was probably one of the few times in the game that actually there was some sort of intent to get the ball on quickly, and even though Harris's kick wasn't all that great, still it caused a contest in the middle of the ground. He followed it up and got it to Michael Stevens, and there's another entry inside forward 50 for the Kangaroos by Stevens, but this time he's finished it off for a goal. Colbert's come off the ground. Ferrito's gone on in his place.
Sydney have opened up with the opening goal of each of the three quarters. The Kangaroos respond with one of their own there, with Michael Stevens kicking his second goal.
Petrie off and Thompson on.
Jolly got up high. Ablett stood his ground. Crouch to Kirk. Wants the left, but had to go on the right. Puts it out in the direction of Schneider. They won't come easy though, Adam, with Glenn Archer there working you closely. And he sees the ball out of bounds and will have a throw in.
It's the strength of Glenn Archer's, isn't it, to be able to play on a medium and also to a tall over the years. And he never dies wondering when he goes to the ball at a contest.
Just so versatile, could line up anywhere any given week.
Hale. Crouch got a hand in there. Schneider. Well, Williams wasn't expecting it. Rawlings tried to soccer the ball off the ground. Jude Bolton dispossessed, has another go. Piccioni towards Harvey, wearing him closely. Jared Crouch. Of numbers inboard, one of those is Maxfield. High ball. Buchanan camps in front of Barry Hall. Do that at your own peril. Well, that should have been a mark. Loose ball, Nix. Ferrito with a good tackle. Jolly going backwards. Does it come back? Not enough. One behind Darren Jolly. Swans threatening again.
A fall away snap from the big man. Just the wrong side of the post. Hit the deck. Not quite for Eamon Buchanan.
couple of their smaller forwards in Sydney's forward line seem to be just getting a little bit of the ball. Buchanan's one and Snyder's the other.
Makepeace. Searching kick around the outer side. Through the arms of Buchanan. Can follow up. Good tackle from Piccioni to stick it. Bolton over the top. Here's Williams. The finisher from 48. Keeps it low. Jolly got it. Again, we see turnover, costly. Players out of position. The Swans can make them pay through Darren Jolly.
You'd have to say, Jace, that Kangaroos kick-in structure hasn't worked all that well today. I know they got a goal out of the previous kick-in by Harvey, but certainly you'd say the Sydney Swans zone has actually worked quite effective today. And that was smart play by Paul Williams too, getting it into Jolly. It looked like he may have fumbled the mark, but certainly it was good presence from Williams. He didn't blaze away, and Jolly was at the top of the square.
Booted 3 goals last week, Darren Jolly. This to re-establish the breathing space. Sneaks it inside the left post. Goal to the Swans. Jolly gets his first, and again they re-establish that handy margin of 11 points.
It's his second shot on goal in the last minute of this particular time, too, situation, Jace. So he's really a player who can be dangerous. And we see once again here the ability of a small player in Buchanan. Quick hands, Bolton to Williams, Williams to Jolly, and then Jolly's gone back and finished off with a good goal, and they've now got an 11-point lead.
Terrific debut last week, Darren Jolly, for his new club. 15 possessions, 24 hitouts, 3 goals. Gets his first for the afternoon. 1-1, all kicked in this third quarter. The margin back out to 11 points. Hale and Jolly go at it again. Crouch. Good tackle. Kangaroos player down there. It's Shannon Grant. So whistle on play. We'll have a secondary bounce. Gets up rather gingerly. Problem with that right ankle.
One of the other things, Wayne, that Dean Laidley could do is perhaps bring Jess Sinclair out across half-back, maybe put Makepeace back onto Davis, just generate a little bit more rebound off half-back.
Shannon Grant still not right. Applied the tackle, but that foot is no good at the moment. Backs out of the pack. We'll have another bounce, still inside the centre square. A lot of numbers around the ball. Simpson to fly. Well, Hale wins himself a free kick. Darren Jolly infringed there, shepherded him out of the ruck. They get it in quickly. There's some space for the likes of Rocker and Thompson to work. And there's Thompson on a short lead. Oh, drops what he should have taken. Allows Adam Goods into the contest. That looked like a kick for touch. Wrong code of sport, but Adam Goods does it well. Has a bounce and streams away from Adam. Nathan Thompson gets a shepherd. Centres the ball towards Jolly. Already has one. Couldn't take possession. Bevan does the crumbing. Keeps the ball low. Dribbles it through and kicks a wonderful goal.
It was almost a bit of Gaelic football type stuff there, Jace, the way Adam Goods took on Thompson. But again, it was a mistake caused by Thompson when he dropped that mark. But it was actually shades of Goods doing this at one other time too, where he
it was actually last year against the Kangaroos from the opposite pocket.
He was going to go all the way, but once again he's brought the ball back into the corridor. Jolly's made a contest and brought the ball to ground, but young Bevan actually got where a smaller player should and just had the presence of mind to dribble the ball on the ground.
Play of the day from the Sydney Swans, and they've opened up the biggest margin of the match. It's out to 17 points midway through this third term. Great athleticism from Adam Goods. The game's been crying out for a couple of those mercurial players to display some individual brilliance. And we saw it through Adam Goods there, and a great finish from Paul Bevan. Back in the middle, Swans with their tails up. Danger time now for the Kangaroos. They need a steadier. Shannon Watt thumps it on the boot towards 50. It's a 2-on-2 contest. Good mark, Savrocker. Can he respond quickly for the Kangas? They've managed to hang in for much of the day. They've trailed for most of it. But the last time they were in front was way back in the first quarter, about the 21-minute mark of the opening term. Since then, the Swans have made the running. But Sav with a chance to once again keep them in touch.
hail off from Petrion. And look, you wonder, don't you, when you see that high kick come in and Sav Rocker just read it a bit better, and Leo Barry actually just took front position, but big Sav's probably twice his size. But it's interesting the confidence that Paul Roos has got in his smaller players to actually play on the bigger type lumbering Kangaroos forwards. Looks like Jolly's coming to the bench as well, Jace.
No one yet getting up to replace him. Here comes Jason Ball. The ball's with Rocker. Punches it hard, but misses.
And once again, that's a kick just outside 50 as well. So the Kangaroos just can't seem to get any shots on goal from sort of like 20 or 30 metres out from goal.
Bolton takes it in the back pocket. Goes short to Kirk. And back to Craig Bolton. By hand over the top. Now to Ablett as the Swans set up through centre half back. Surrounded by Kangaroos. Back to Craig Bolton again. His third link
Davis.
in the chain. Out towards Davis in front of him. Sinclair right on his hammer. Davis tries to paddle to advantage. Sinclair's got a piece of him. In the end, the boundary line wins. Umpire Darren Goldspink says throw it in. Take a look at the numbers this quarter. Disposals 46-19. They certainly have had a lot of the football, the Sydney Swans. And inside 50 is only 5-3, funnily enough.
It's reflecting on the scoreboard too, Jace, but the thing that Sydney do well is they reward the runner. If he's prepared to run from behind, they'll always give him the handball and try and set up their play in an attacking mode.
Lowe's piling over the top. We'll have another bounce. A 17-point margin. Now back to 16. 5-9-39. Sydney 7-13-55. Halfway through the third term. Goods and Thompson. Makepeace was good hands to the voice of Rawlings. Around the outer wing, can step inside and give it to Paccioni. Paccioni spears inside 50, goes to the pocket, and here's Rocker again. He kicked from about 45 metres out. Again, a pretty tough angle. The big fella's booted 1 goal 2 this afternoon.
Nicks for O'Keefe has been interchanged, and the other thing it looked like for the last minute or so is that Laidley's actually got Wells one out in the goal square just to try and break the tag. But here's a build-up by Rawlings to Paccioni, and again the kick's weighted to Rocker, and he only needs that sort of a metre if the kick is weighted out in front.
Severio to keep the Roos in touch. A couple from out here last week against the Blues, and does so yet again. His second. And once again the Roos keep in touch. The margin back to 10 points.
You'd suggest he's a fair kick from out there because he's had a couple of opportunities today, so he's getting better and better with each kick. But here it's a stoppage. Actually, Rawlings just tapped it on. He's followed up his play. You'll see here that he actually gives the handball off to Paccioni, and Paccioni's looked up and just with good vision has kicked the ball out in front, and Rocker's taken it on the chest. And once again, he's having a shot from a long distance out, but he's converted this time and brings them back closer by a goal.
Sav Rocker with his second brings the margin back to 10 points. 8.5 minutes remaining, third quarter. Thompson in the ruck with ball. He got high, the big Kangaroo ruckman. Harris. O'Keefe couldn't lay the tackle. Goods wanted the free kick, didn't get it. Loose ball, Corey Jones. Crouch went to Shepherd. Ablett slipped at the wrong time. Taken high, Kennelly arrives. We have a whistle on play and we'll have a bounce.
Been a lot of possession around the middle of the ground this term. 70 possessions for just 9 inside 50s combined. 5 to the Swans and 4 to the Kangaroos.
Well, you look at how much congestion is around these stoppages, Jace, and hence the ball is spending a lot of time in there because both forward lines have their smaller players moving up to where the stoppage area is.
Luke Ablett taken high, wipes the blood away from the bleeding nose. Paccioni gets around the tackler. Handball was for Rawlings, met heavily by Goods, and Brady Rawlings is down, and the Swans are away. This time Buchanan can loop the handball over the top, intended for O'Keefe, but Archer read it best, and the Kangaroos rebound. Ball will bounce in front of Harris, couldn't take possession. Craig Bolton has a bounce, heads down the line to O'Keefe, can play on quickly. Barry Hall goes short and gets it. Got Davis and Ball. Ball wants it long to the goal square. Davis goes short.
he's one out with Thompson, so you'd think that Barry would try and get it in there nice and quick.
Shannon Watt heads back towards the goal square to block up space. Barry Hall goes to play on. Goes short. Williams. Don't know about that option. Loose ball. Harvey. The Kangaroos through their skipper. Adam Simpson relieved. Down the throat of Corey Jones.
So Jones at half-back. Brady Rawlings is up and jogging around. And Adam Goods has gone straight to the top of Paul Williams' Christmas card list. Jones short. Petrie stretches, tests that troublesome right leg. Copped a corky early in the game. Spent a bit of time on the bench. Eddie Sansbury didn't quite hang on long enough. He'll have a throw in. Here's Brady Rawlings, still feeling a bit sick and sorry, but back to the task. And crunch. Adam Goods through like a freight train, a goods train.
I'm pleased to say all done legally too.
Goods comes off, maybe with a sore shoulder. Jolly back on. A triple change as Ablett comes off, as does Matthews, replaced by Maxfield and Nix. Luke Ablett with a bit of blood around the schnoz.
And you've still got Daniel Wells playing out of the full forward line. Craig Bolton's his respective
Still on
opponent.
7 possessions, Daniel Wells, all in the first quarter. Hasn't touched it since quarter time. Sinclair tries to crash through. Thompson, quick hands to Harris. Off the side of the boot, it's drifting wide. Nix, Sansbury, free kick to the Swans. Matthew Nix held in that marking contest. 10 points the margin as we close in on three-quarter time. Buchanan. Nix. Good effort from Pachoni. Kept his eyes on the football. Didn't give up that contest. And keeps the ball in the forward zone for the Kangaroos. Shown some good endeavour today, Lance Pachoni.
He has, and he's had quite a number of possessions when you look at actually how he's played, and he has spent time on the fence. So he's had 13 possessions, so he's done a reasonable job today.
Played 48 of a possible 79 minutes. Simpson dragged off it. Crouch. Handball into the path of Buchanan. Sansbury coming from the other direction. Rawlings in over the top. Crouch trying to barge through. Kennelly. Now to Kirk. Wants to go short. McVeigh stretches, lunges and picks it up just above the turf. Jared McVeigh. Younger brother of Essendon's Mark, playing game number 22 this afternoon. Goes down the line and finds Bevan.
Defensive side of the wing position. Hall provides the lead. It's a stretch and takes the mark.
It was interesting then that Lee Brown just gave up on the lead then, just let Barry Hall lead up the ground. So whether he's feeling the pinch a little bit or not.
Hall indicates where he'll go. It's a wobbly looky kick towards Jolly. Got his hands on the ball. Couldn't take possession. Michael Stevens streams out of defence. Short kick. Running with the flight of the ball was Jess Sinclair. Thompson breaks. There's a couple of yards on Craig Bolton. It's where he heads. Unkind bounce. Bolton gets back. He's got support with Leo Barry there. Sets up so well, Leo Barry, along with Ty Kennelly. Craig Bolton has some time to stop and prop. Goes short. Well, maybe that play on rule, if the kick doesn't travel 30 metres, should be play on as well. Might be something rules committee can look at. Nix comes wide to Buchanan. Ball wants it short, but Grant came on off the interchange bench, and Jason Ball gives him what for. Centres the ball to Crouch and go over the top to Maxfield. Defensive side of the circle now streams towards centre half forward, goes long. That's something we haven't seen a lot of. Jolly got his hands on the ball. Barry Hall infringed on Lee Brown. The Kangaroos full back will take the free kick deep in their defensive end.
Brown has it. He's got numbers to the commentary side. He comes to Colbert. And now Pachoni. Swans just opened them up through the middle of the ground on that occasion. Couldn't take full advantage. Pachoni from half-back goes long to the wing. Simpson against Kirk. Kirk worked him under it. Williams at the back to tidy up for Sydney. Handball inside to Ball. Will get it back now. Paul Williams looking to create. It's a wide open forward 50. Buchanan runs in and out of trouble. Drops the football. Look for a handball. Nothing to go to. Here's a chance for Roberts Thompson from outside 50. Brown in the best position to the front. Here's Big Bad Bustling. Bangs it back, does Bustling and misses. Behind. The Swans look dangerous up forward. If it's not Barry Hall, it's Darren Jolly. He looks dangerous inside 50 as well. But at the moment, the Roos just hanging in.
Yeah, they are. If they can get actually Davis to just present himself a little bit more, then you'd think they'd win the game.
Hot day, fatigue starting to take its toll. This game's just opening up a bit. Players aren't able to run hard with their opponents and starting to get some easier possessions. Sainsbury. It's going to be a long 35 minutes left of football or thereabouts for these players. Rocker just forced Maxfield off the football on that occasion. Goes to Simpson. And the veteran takes the mark. Used the body well on Kirk. Running forward to the football is Sainsbury. Wide open. Can steady from 35. Measures and delivers. It's happening in both directions. Players are now struggling to go with their opponents. And we saw it again there. Eddie Sainsbury prepared to work up hard from the wing to run inside 50. His opponent didn't go with him and it was an easy goal.
Well, he'd certainly be one of the fresher players because of the amount of game time that he hasn't had. But it was a better movement from the Kangaroos. You see Sainsbury coming up the ground and then working back, as you said, Jason, and then he's actually slotted a goal. But the game has just ebbed and flowed.
Speaking of fresh legs in hot conditions, Sainsbury's played 69 of a possible 84 minutes. And they've got some midfielders who have got some run in their legs. Ferrito, Paccioni, Harris have all spent extended time on the bench.
3 possessions, Eddie Sainsbury, but importantly, a telling goal there as we make our way towards three-quarter time. Kirk with the quick kick. Bevan, superior foot speed. Well, they persisted with trying to find a target sometimes, the Swans, and that's been their undoing. Sinclair went backwards to Paccioni. Short to Harvey. Not a lot on further up the field. But whichever side can start to generate some run, get some of these on-ball players and defenders, Gary, who are keen to push through that barrier.
And try and link up with them, Wayne, obviously. The position that I'm seeing at the moment is this game momentum just swings to the Sydney side, then it swings back to the Kangaroos, and we just see here how hard the Sydney Swans forwards have actually pushed up the ground with their respective opponents. And Sav Rocker's come all the way down from full forward.
A long way from home. Puts the kick out in the direction of Shannon Grant. Beautiful one-handed possession. Got around, or nearly got around, Craig Bolton. Make peace. Buchanan to put pressure on. Short to Thompson. Hasn't had the best of days, Nathan Thompson, but keeps presenting, providing an option for his teammates. Only Lee Brown, Barry Hall and Glenn Archer, defensive side of the circle for the Kangaroos. Hale, good spoil, Roberts Thompson. Schneider, taken high, wins himself a free kick.
They tend to handball at some very strange times, the Sydney Swans, and get themselves into trouble.
Just over a minute remaining till the three-quarter time. Barry Hall working all the way up towards half-back to take the mark. Really is running Lee Brown around. And there's Colbert there with him at the moment. The two of them have tag-teamed. Brown maybe just starting to feel the pinch, as we mentioned in this third term. He's happy to stay back on Jolly at the forward 50. But here's Barry. Again, loves to go for a run. Wants to take Rocker on. A good screen from Barry Hall. Allows Leo Barry to tumble one towards half forward. The ball beats Williams and Matthews over the line. Throw in with 40 seconds remaining until the final break, and it'll be a much-deserved three-quarter time break as Adam Goods contemplates returning to the action. Ball and Thompson. Thompson took it out of the ruck and fumbled it free. Harris, one of those fresh-legged midfielders for the Kangaroos. Archer poked it forward. Here's a chance for one more roll of the dice for the Swans. High ball inside 50. Colbert will go up. Spoiled his own man in Jones. Ball at ground level. The Roos need to scrap and hold here. Free kick. And it's going the way off the Kangaroos. That should see off the danger. Gee, a goal there really would have stung. 5 points the margin. Kangas have managed to hang in for the last couple of quarters. And at three-quarter time, the Roos are still well and truly in this ball game. Just 5 points the difference as we head for the final term at Manuka Oval in Canberra. Sydney 7-14-56. The Kangaroos 7-9-51 in that quarter. The Swans added 3 goals, 3. The Kangaroos added 3 goals, 1. Final change in Canberra. It's the Swans leading by 5 points. Final turn from Monica. The Swans lead it by 5 points. It was dead level at the first change. The Swans by 3 at half-time, and now 5 points as we start the last term. Ablett, who's done the blanketing job on Daniel Wells, beats him to the football on that occasion. We'll have another bounce.
Kangaroos starting again with Glenn Archer loose in their defensive end.
Hale against Goods. Slapped away from Simpson. Falls to Nix. Squares it up to Matthews. Has it. It's an half back.
Sorry, Jace, that's Glenn Archer's direct opponent.
Matthews pokes it out wide. Hall again working hard up the ground. Awkward bounce. It will favour Colbert. He's got some support. He's got Archer inside defensive 50. Goes to him now. Confronted by O'Keefe. Back to Colbert. Now down the line to Piccioni. Awkward looking kick, but it's sat nicely. Steps inside O'Keefe. Gives it to Harvey. Over the top to Piccioni. And now back to Harvey. They work it around the wing. Advantage was about to be paid. It'll be stopped and brought back, and Brent Harvey gives the umpire a spray. Comes back to Lance Piccioni. Squares it up. The big man in the middle is David Hale. Wide open forward 50. Grant on in the lead. One-on-one with Craig Bolton. Bolton goes to ground. Sinclair at the back against McVeigh. Grant flashes back across the screen once more. Still in there working is Sinclair. Buchanan's got a piece of him. Grant comes in and puts body on body. And we'll have a bounce.
It's interesting how much space both Lee Kolb and also to Glenn Archer given their respective opponents today. They've just allowed them to be drawn up the ground, and they've just stayed back to try and cut off the Hall leads.
Simpson got up high, third man up to Wells. He's the spark that can get the Kangaroos going. Heads backwards to Makepeace, not a bad option. Short to Rocker. Well, it's a long way from home, but he is a prodigious kick of the football, Sav Rocker. There's 2-2 for the afternoon.
You'd like to see him do a big torpedo here, Wayne.
Love to come back into the game, Gary.
The Roos leaving plenty of space open. Rocker doesn't care. He's going to go for it.
Well, he gave it an attempt. Thompson flew high, couldn't take the chest mark. Craig Bolton runs away from heavy traffic, goes short out in the direction of McVeigh. That's a good kick. Look to go over the top to Jude Bolton. This has been their pattern all day. Quite happy to wait for something to present rather than turn the ball over or go long. Nix through the middle of the corridor, has a bounce inside the centre square, gets around Piccioni a little bit too easily. There you go, another mistake. Simpson, this could be costly. High ball, Bolton got in front of Grant. Loose ball, Shannon Grant off the ground. There and supports Canali as he stands, balls out of bounds. But Gary, when you clear and direct, you'd like to see a player go long inside 50.
You would, and that's just a case of just trying to do too much. And the reason why McVeigh had to hold the ball up on that outer side was because Archer was standing directly in line with Barry Hall. So once again, he didn't want to give the ball up. He wanted to then square it inside. And of course, the mistake was made by Nix trying to do too much.
Hale and Goods. Goods almost had it, fumbled it. Grant sharks it and goals. Half a chance, and Grant makes the most of it. He's booted his first for the afternoon. Goods had it in the hands. Just took his eyes off it, and Shannon Grant swooped.
Well, that's Shannon Grant all over. You just give him half a chance and he can make something out of nothing. And I think it's been a pretty good move by Dean Laidley, actually, to have Shannon Grant spend a fair bit of time up there. But the fumble was caused by Goods, and he knows that. And again, Shannon Grant's just thrummed it well from the mistake, and he kicked a very, very good goal. And really, it's given them the first goal of the quarter.
Shannon Grant, 12 possessions, 1 goal, 2.
Roos in front for the first time since the 24-minute mark of the opening term.
So can the Swans reply? Jolly and Hale. They've done all afternoon. They've gone at it. Hard in off the line was Bevan. Hale did well to get a hand in there to spoil it. And we'll have a bounce. We've seen the umpires, well, be pretty red hot on players dragging the ball in, and Paul Bevan can think himself a little bit unlucky, or a little bit lucky, I should say. Makepeace off the back edge of the square towards Piccioni. Was it a mark? Yes, good attempt. Started to find the footy, Lance Piccioni. He's got Watt short. Goes over the top to Hale. He's starting to present himself, Gary. Find himself into some space there.
And he's been the link through the midfield in the last couple of thrusts that actually the Kangaroos have gone through him, which again, I think this kid can play. So here's Archer, who's been free for the last 30 seconds.
Well, that's Paul Markey. Archer turns around quickly to the goal scorer in the fourth quarter, Shannon Grant. Juggles the mark, but really, it's really unforgiving. How a player like Glenn Archer, who's found plenty of the ball this afternoon, can find himself in space 60 metres from goal directly in front.
Well, it's a bit of Russian roulette at the moment, Wayne, too, because, of course, Matthews is his direct opponent, and he's actually pushing up to getting ball inside the Sydney defence, and of course that leaves Archer back, and Archer, being the smart player that he is, has gone inside. But once again, this is the danger man for my money. He's actually been able to lead Craig Bolton to the ball on a couple of occasions, and he's a fairly deadly kick, and it might be time perhaps to put a Keneally on to Shannon Grant, who's got a little bit more speed over that initial mark than maybe a Bolton.
Norm Smith medalist in the 1999 Premiership side with the Kangaroos, 2001 best and fairest, lining up for his second goal. Important kick for the Kangaroos. Shannon Grant, there's no problems there. Straight through the middle. All of a sudden, the Kangaroos are out to a 7-point margin.
It almost looks like the Kangaroos are carrying on now where they left off at the end of the third quarter. They weren't able to do that when they came back after the break at half-time. But once again, here you see Archer. He's a very experienced player, and Shannon Grant's led just on a slight angle, and Archer's put the ball out in front, and we know how deadly Shannon Grant can be in front of goal. Kicked the last two.
Both sides played in warm conditions last week. It's been very hot today. The Roos with an extra day's rest, having played on Saturday. At the moment, the Kangaroos full of running. They lead by 7 points. For the first time since the opening term, it's now the Swans that need to respond. Jolly and Hale. Hale with the tap. Bolton got boot to ball. It was smothered. Kirk put his head down, won the football. Pumps it towards 50. Colbert back with courage. Hurt once again. Simpson. Archer to be run down. Tackle to slip low. Free kick. Lee Colbert. Centre screen. On his haunches and up. Just so courageous to a fault.
You wonder how long it's going to be before actually Paul Roos puts someone onto Archer, because he's been very damaging in the last 5-6 minutes.
He's up to 21 possessions, Glenn Archer, just 2 short of his all-time record. Eddie Sainsbury. And there's a blood rule. And it is Lee Colbert. Leading from above the left eye, rather.
Well, they don't have too many to choose from. Fresh players off the bench, the Kangaroos. You've got Daniel Pratt that took a heavy knock and his head hit the ground. You've got Petrie with a corked thigh. Ferrito makes his way on, replacing Lee Colbert. So the attrition rate of AFL football, Gary, is there for all to see.
Corey Jones, really their fit man on the bench. Obviously, Colbert will get patched up and get back out there again. Let's take another look. Courage personified, Lee Colbert. Just copped the elbow from Barry Hall inadvertently across the top of his left eye as play resumes. Ball's with Sinclair. Long ball towards half forward. Thompson wrestling with Roberts. Thompson. Harris caught Bolton high and he didn't like it. Wells inside the line. Spears it inside 50. It was an awkward looking kick. And Brett Kirk picks it off for the Swans.
Bolton, Maxfield, tackle, good tackle, Piccioni. Now the umpire calls holding the ball. Well, it hasn't been there much this afternoon, but on this occasion, Stewie Maxfield, well, perhaps a little bit harshly done by it.
But once again, Wayne, that handball didn't hit the target, so handballs are about getting out of trouble, not into trouble.
Brent Harvey provides the short lead. Too far from home, you'd think. You look to set it up. Michael Stevens whisks by. Only Lee Brown, the only player from either side, defensive side of the centre circle. Harvey decides to go short and finds that man I just spoke about, Michael Stevens. Distance won't be a problem here. It'll come down to accuracy. He just worked it in beautifully, Gary.
Well, he was very patient, and of course, beauty of it, what was happening in there, was that the forwards were leading. And, of course, then something opened up. And, of course, he was good enough to see him. And Stevens is now going on another shot on goal.
They're picking him off with their small midfielders pushing inside, aren't they? They're not kicking long to the Rocker and to Petrie and to Thompson.
It's proved successful so far, especially with someone like Shannon Grant in this last quarter.
2 goals for the afternoon. Michael Stevens, this for number 3. He's got it.
They certainly seem to be full of running at the moment, the Kangaroos, and you'd say, obviously, with what's happened in the last 5 or 6 minutes, that they're actually going to go out on top. You just get that sense of feeling already, because Sydney Swans just seem like they've stopped.
It's the biggest run of the game. The Kangaroos trailed by 16 points midway through the third. And they now lead by 13 midway through the fourth. The Roos by 13 points. Sydney with the gauntlet squarely at their feet. Have they got the run in the legs? Can they turn it around? Jolly up high, got it down to Ablett. Clear break for the Swans. Spears inside 50. Brown beat Hall to the football. Good bump from Bevan. Created a contest. The Roos with numbers. Makepeace under pressure from Schneider. Did it well. And here's Archer, the veteran. Harvey versus Crouch. Crouch almost with one hand. Ablett will be run down by Paccioni. Play on the call. Crouch flips it backwards now to Matthews. Some urgency in this contest from the Swans. Bolton. Maxfield can run onto it if it sits. Looks up. Spears to 50. Davis has got a couple of metres on Stevens and takes the mark at 50. Nick Davis has booted 1-1, both in the second term.
Paccioni off, Colbert on.
He sets himself. Swans need a steadier. The margin 13 points. 11 and a half gone in the final term. Davis off a couple of steps. Hits the post. Margin 2 straight kicks. Makepeace short to Brown in the back pocket. He can chip over the top. The Roos are prepared to work for each other in this final term. They're working hard. They're picking the Swans off. Harvey down the line. Thompson offers a lead. Pressure came from Roberts-Thompson. Crouch at the back. The fumble. Simpson arrives. We'll have a bounce.
Thompson cramping, as in Lewis Roberts-Thompson.
It was only a matter of time, wasn't it, before the players started to go down with cramp.
You'd like to see Nathan Thompson keep that ball in front, though, wouldn't you? Just seems to be a bit all or nothing when he gets on the lead.
Ball and Hale wrapped up, arms and legs. All out of bounds. We'll have a throw in. The margin. 12 points in favour of the Kangaroos. They're finishing with a wet sail. They just seem to have more runners at the moment, Gary.
Certainly when you see Harvey, how hard he ran to receive that short kick there, it says that there's a bit more in the tank than perhaps the Sydney Swans.
Williams did well. Soaked up 2 tacklers. The Swans free up Ben Matthews. They go long towards Davis. Getting a hand in there was Michael Stevens. He's got support. He doesn't need it. Goes himself. Comes out wide, but the ball slews off the side of the boot. He had Troy Makepeace. All he had to do there was hit his target. But out of bounds on the full. Bevan will take the free kick. Davis short. Oh, needed to be clean there. Colbert slipped. Wrong moment. Tight on the boundary line. Makepeace. Good smother. And Rawlings sees the ball out of bounds for a throw-in.
We won't be packaging up that last couple of minutes to send over to the States.
It's a bit of tiredness, but also too, it's a bit of pressure as well because the game's got very, very tight.
Just under 11 minutes remaining. Swans rallying. Umpire Galt's been talking to Paul Williams. Blood rule. Maybe a double blood rule. Rawlings and Williams. Yet again, we see Paul Williams, a cut across his eyes, opened up once more. Brady Rawlings has been told that he just needs to wipe the residual blood.
I didn't think Maxfield looked right when he ran onto the ground either. He looked a bit proppy, and hence the reason, I suppose, why he's come off after a couple of minutes.
Thompson off, Ferrito on. And Williams goes to receive some more attention. He's an important player. We saw there he soaked up a couple of tackles. He is a game breaker. Stevenson over the top of it. Ball's on top of him. Hovering. Umpire says play on. Gave him every chance to get it out. Ablett confronted by Harris. We'll have a ball up on the 50 for Sydney, trying to manufacture something here. They need a spark. They need someone to do something a bit special.
A lot of numbers around the ball. Perhaps now's not a bad time to start all the Swans players. Defensive side of this ball up opens up space, allows players to run onto.
Ball. Kirk wrapped up by Simpson.
Perhaps third man up too, Wayne, actually. Someone to actually come and over the top and belt it forward. Get a little bit of distance on it.
The last thing a defender wants is to be running towards the opposition goal. You're really playing into the hands of the Kangaroos here by not starting every now and again with players' defensive side of the ball.
Matthews drawn Colbert out, which is a good move as well.
Ball and Hale again. Simpson the third man up. Popular tactic for the Roos. Rawlings did well. Kept it in front of himself. Will work it to the line. We'll have another throw in. Disappointment from Adam Schneider. Good crowd in today. Manuka Oval holds roughly 14,500 to 15,000. The crowd 13,481. Great result for the Kangaroos. Now they just need the 4 points to go with it. Harvey poked it out of the congestion. Gained another 30 metres. Sainsbury closing. Ball stayed alive. Kennelly, now he's got trouble. Two men came in. Going nowhere. Ball up.
It's been a third man up punch that's gained him 15, 20 metres. Another quick kick from Harvey's gained him another 25 metres. And now they're virtually getting it nearly into their forward 50.
Petone replaces Harris. Buchanan can't keep it in. David Hale wants a free kick, thinking Jason Ball was holding his arm. Not forthcoming. Another throw in. Kangaroos by 12 points. 9 minutes 20 remaining in this fourth quarter. It's been a dour affair. Not the prettiest game. Kangaroos have done well. Worked themselves. Sainsbury out of the air. It's a high up and under ball. Hale. Got his hands on it. Kirk somehow got it to Crouch. Rawlings did well to make peace. Jude Bolton supporting Jared Crouch. They're away now. Can have a bounce. The ground opens up. Davis is one out with Colbert. Michael Stevens goes over the top to Barry Hall. Tight in the pocket. Barry Hall. Not on this occasion. Pushes it to the right-hand side, but exciting build-up. One of the few times this afternoon the game opened up and the players prepared to run into space.
Because the fact that Jared Crouch was able to run and carry the ball and the Kangaroo defenders were actually going back with their respective opponents. Archer's come across and then forced the handball.
It was a difficult shot from Barry Hall for that angle. Was it the right option to go to him?
Well, I would go to Barry Hall because he's such an accurate kick. Didn't work out that time, but he certainly tends to kick him from most angles.
Jess Sinclair. Short to the pocket. And Colbert. Get the feeling the Swans can just get a goal, just get a spark. They're still well and truly in this contest. Plenty of time left, 8.5 minutes as Sinclair goes to the wing. Grant's been impressive in this final term. This time he's working up the ground to take the mark in front of Nix. 11 points the difference. Shannon Grant. Again, we see the hard-running Brent Harvey. Grant offers a short lead. Harvey considers it, decides to go back to Colbert. The Roos just setting up patiently. No one stands the mark. Colbert doesn't care. He's not going to go any further. Just going to stand there. Look at that. No one in front of him at all. That's called to play on by the umpire. No one's there. Swans happy to zone back and cover the territory rather than waste a man on the mark. Corey Jones, Bolton, Wells in over the top, and Harvey. Love a bounce.
I don't necessarily agree with that. They're pushing their forwards a line behind the play. Lee Colbert's got too much time. The clock's running down. You've got to put pressure on, forcing a turnover. You've also got to have someone to kick to when you do win possession.
And you can see Colbert's now back on his own, Wayne, as well.
Swans need to turn it around. Bolton have to think their way forward here. Davis, McVeigh, run down by Sinclair, gone. The Roos are making the running at the moment. The Swans have been reactive. They need to do something to change the flow of this match, because with 7 minutes remaining, it's going the Kangaroos' way.
That to me, Jace, from Davis then is just a handball for the sake of handballing. It's nothing constructive.
Michael Stevens, he wants to come inside. Sinclair actually pointing to Colbert, saying kick it 60 metres back to Lee Colbert. So he does.
Squares it up to Sainsbury, possibly.
Sainsbury in the middle of the ground. Colbert hasn't spotted him yet and doesn't. So now he chips back to Makepeace. Now they can go across the ground. Lee Brown, hold it up. We'll go back to Colbert. A long way from home to be playing this sort of football, but if the Swans aren't going to press and show some urgency, there's a free kick down the ground. And it's going to Harvey, 30 metres out from goal. Off the ball against Jared Crouch. Wow. Brent Harvey, I think it's going to. There's some confusion. The players endeavouring to find out what's going on. And this could be very, very painful for Sydney. Jared Crouch fuming. 100 metres off the ball. Forward of the football. The Roos were happy to run down the clock. Suddenly Brent Harvey with a golden opportunity to drive a stake through Sydney's heart.
He's worked his way into the game, Brent Harvey. He's got better as the game's gone on. And that's a terrific sign for not only Brent, more importantly, his teammates.
He's worked extremely hard in this last quarter, and without seeing vision of this particular free kick, you'd hate that the game could be decided by something that is influenced by an umpire's decision.
This to make it tough. Opportunity goes begging. Will that provide the Swans with the inspiration they need?
Maybe there's some justice, because Jared Crouch was quite human about the treatment that he received from the umpire. 2
straight kicks is the contract for Sydney. Just over 5 minutes remaining.
Nix to walk towards Luke Ablett. Second attempt, did well. Handball inside to Craig Bolton. Fended off Daniel Wells. He's got support. Leo Barry, good run. He's away now. We'll get a shepherd from Buchanan. Keeps the ball low in the direction of Barry Hall, but picked out his opposing number. Lee Brown. They're not doing themselves any favours here, the Swans. Poor disposal on that occasion, letting them down. Michael Stevens.
The idea was right, though, wasn't it? They rolled the dice, took a chance, tried to run through the lines and create. They've got to do something.
It's the first bit of real positive run that they've had for quite some time, and it was the overlap, and really in the end, the skills of a particular player, not under a lot of pressure, just becomes so frustrating.
Well, they've got to force the turnover here. Lee Brown inside his defensive end will go backwards. Finds Brady Rawlings. Crowd showing their dislike. Dangerous kick, but up to the task on that occasion, Jess Sinclair.
And 50.
And 50. Adam Goods arriving late.
No, 50. Yes, 50.
Yes. Confusing everyone, including us in the box.
Goodsy thought, well, look, I'll tell you what, if I help him get up, will you waive the 50?
Just give you 25.
Well, 4.5 minutes remaining. Sydney have to force a turnover and take the ball straight down the other end of the ground through the corridor, you would think, to give their forwards like Hall and Davis perhaps.
Looks hopeless at the moment, but if they can do it, it's only a goal the difference.
2 kicks that have the ball up the other end, Jason. Barry fires. It was Kirk. Coming through heavily there was Shannon Grant. He's been busy in this 4th quarter. On this occasion, he's been pinged for holding the ball. This is it, Sydney. They've got to get the ball moving quickly. Find an open target. Don't invent a handball if it's there. Direct. Give your forwards a chance. Goes out wide. Schneider. Important possession coming up. Has Goods over the top. Gets a kind bounce. Adam Goods, he can do something special. Has a bounce. 60 from home. Will load up from outside. 50. It's a going ball. It's going all right. Distance, not a problem. Wrong side of the post. That might have been it.
The proverbial important point. 11 points the margin.
He certainly has had a quiet day by Adam Goods' standard. So you just see here where Sav Rocker's off and Nathan Thompson on. So that could have been the spark, because you wonder if they can just get enough going to generate one more score.
1 turnover is what they need, isn't it? A telling turnover that they can make the most of. Archer has it in the back pocket. The Swans haven't had the run to create. When someone's had the ball at half back, they haven't had an option in this last quarter to run down the ground and get into space. They've just run out of legs, so it seems. Archer goes long. Time ticking for the Swans. Jolly couldn't take it. Matthews at the back. Scopes it out. 3 minutes remaining. It's going to drift wide. Out on the full. Fatigue telling for the Swans. Some skill errors creeping in this last term. Schneider off. Roberts Thompson on. Just over 3 minutes. They've just got a man up in this situation.
Because of the way they've played too today, Sydney, they've actually had a lot of shots on goal from 55 metres out. So it's very difficult to kick accurately from that distance. And once again, you see here this ability just to chip around. It hasn't been a great quarter because the Kangaroos have just been quite happy to maintain possession.
Swans have responded man on man now every time this happens. Jolly couldn't quite. McVeigh at ground level. Simpson wrapped up, taken the ground, ball up. Time continues to tick. We approach 2.5 minutes. It's getting tough for the Swans now. Davis on. The goal sneak, the spark that they need. Someone has to step up and do something for Sydney. Bolton tries to be the third man up to get it clear of the congestion. Sainsbury to Harvey. Goes for territory down the line. Thompson playing in front, takes the mark. Be happy to settle it down. Grant one-on-one with Nix inside 50. Thompson will go in that direction. Ablett peels off his man to be the third man in the contest. And the ball forced to the line. 11 points. 2 minutes and 6 seconds. The Swans don't look like it at the moment, but as we say, it's one mistake, one turnover, and the game's wide open once again.
It's been the quick momentum there, Jace, but it's really been the players of Grant, Harvey, Brown, Colbert and Archer, who I think in this last quarter stood tall.
Harvey on the boundary line, took the tackle. Corey Jones centres the ball. It's a high ball, favours Shannon Grant. And Shannon Grant takes a diving mark, got rid of Matthew Nix. Terrific piece of play by Brent Harvey to accept the tackle, got the handball off to Corey Jones, and a well-educated kick, Gary.
It was to the top of the square, and of course Grant, I think, has been the game breaker that this game so probably desperately wanted for most of this particular game. And when you look at what he's been able to do, I think this might be his third goal for the quarter. So when you're talking about a low-scoring game, he's certainly been the one that the Sydney Swans just haven't been able to match up on. And him going forward has given the Kangaroos the impetus. He's a smart player, Norm Smith medalist. Must be something about Norm Smith medalists these days. But he could put the icing on the cake.
He's had the 3 possessions. More importantly, he's kicked 2 goals. This for number 3 in the 4th quarter. And the final nail in the coffin of the Swans. You would think at Monica Oval. Shannon Grant for number 3. No problems there. He gets it.
It's been a gutsy performance from the Kangaroos. They hang in as well as any club in the competition. To be behind for a couple of quarters without being able to get level or get your nose in front can be demoralising for teams, but the Kangaroos managed to stick to the task, stick to the game plan, and eventually it turns their way.
And when you want a game like this to be broken open, it's really up to your senior players to lead the way. Wells has been down, who obviously knows the gun, but it's been their older players that I mentioned that have created this win.
3 goals in the final term with Shannon Grant has been the game breaker. 17 points now the margin. Gutsy performance from the Roos. Jolly the tap. Harrison Simpson. Flip wide to Rawlings. Wells has to stand and wait. Roberts Thompson came the other way. Wells took the mark. Quiet day for Daniel Wells. Just his 10th touch. 7 of those coming in the first term. Kennelly over the top. Spoiled away from Sainsbury. Goods floats it to Bolton. Tried to get it back to Goods. Bolton goes again. Handball to Kirk. Run down by Simpson. Kennelly on the overlap. Goes inside 50. Davis on the lead. Couldn't take the mark. Umpire considered a free kick. Called play on. Colbert out in front of Sinclair. And the rules from half back to Ferrito. Ferrito over the top. Michael Stevens. He's kicked 3 goals. Personal best for him in his 43-game career. Professional performance this afternoon from the Kangaroos. Stevens goes wide to Harvey. He takes the mark. And time for one more. Inside 50. Thompson, awkward. Simpson got into Kirk's back, play on. Still a chance. Harris swoops and goals. Just to finish it off. In the end, it's turned out to be a bit of a blowout in the context of the game. 23 points, the biggest margin of the game.
And how often do games actually that are tight right throughout the course of, say, 3.5 quarters, and then a broken open. But it was a great tackle by Simpson in the end. But pick up and goal on the run like Harris did then was just superb. And it's been a bit surprising, I suppose, that he hasn't had as much game time as perhaps what we thought this year may be able to be for Darren Harris.
It's been a courageous performance from the Kangaroos. They hung in there for a couple of quarters. They trailed by as much as 17 points midway through the third. But in the end, they go to 2-0 in season 2005. 5 unanswered goals in the final term to the Kangaroos. 5-1 to 3 behinds from Sydney. And the Roos come from 5 points down at the last change to run out 23-point winners. 12-10-82. Sydney 7-17-59. Shannon Grant finished with 3 goals, all in the final term. 3 also to Stevens, 2 to Rocker. Singles to Harris, Jones, Hale and Sansbury. While they were all single goal kickers for the Swans. Hall, Davis, Jolly, Crouch, Kirk, Buchanan and Bevan. 12-10-82. Sydney 7-17-59. The final margin, 23 points. Frustrating afternoon for Barry Hall. Finished with 1 goal, 3. Swans, midway through that third term, when they led by 17 points, they looked to be the side that was about to make the running and crack the game open. The Roos got an important goal which kept them in touch. The Swans just couldn't shake them, and in the end, the Roos finished full of running.
They had a habit of doing that at the end of the second quarter and also to the third quarter, but really, the Kangaroos actually just ground the Sydney Swans into the ground, and really, it was a win full of merit, and their better players actually played well when it mattered the most, and that was in the last quarter.
We were wondering who was going to bob up in the last quarter and be the hero. Shannon Grant did just that. He finished with 3 goals.
A workmanlike role from you today, finishing with 3 goals in the last quarter and a great win for the Kangaroos.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the guys showed a great amount of character in that last quarter, and to come from behind the way they did, it just shows what a great bunch of blokes they are.
Especially when you're a couple of men down, couldn't return. Drew Petrie running around on one leg. Terrific performance.
Yeah, well, he's got a big heart, Drew, and just the way he kept presenting himself and keep leading up the ground and give us an option, and just the way Corey Jones as well, and unfortunately Petty went off early, but the boys regrouped and stuck it out well.
Great to see Brent Harvey returning to form today. He was terrific.
Yeah, he's a tremendous player, and he's a confidence player, and if we can get him up and running, he'll certainly help us.
Thanks for your time, Shannon.
Anytime, mate.
Good point raised by Brad Seymour on top of the gutsy effort in hanging in. They were basically 2 men down for much of the day. Daniel Pratt knocked himself out 10 minutes into the second term, took no further part in the contest. Drew Petrie also injured with a corky early in the game. He had little influence on the game in these warm conditions. They just gutted it out.
They did, and of course it's full credit to the way the Kangaroos play, as we mentioned, but Sydney just walking off there, they looked a pretty dejected mob, and they really did look beaten, and it's surprising because, again, maybe we read too much into how they played against Hawthorn last week, but you can't take anything away from the Kangaroos. They were fantastic against Carlton last week. They were fantastic again against Sydney in what we know was very hot conditions, and the thing that I liked about them was that their senior players really stood up for them in the last quarter.
Yeah, I don't think we can take anything away from the way the Kangaroos fought. We know what we always are going to get with the Kangaroos, but Sydney certainly didn't help themselves, Gary. They persisted with holding the ball up, trying to create a handball. Sometimes when you're in space, you've got to have a plan B and a plan A. If plan A isn't working, then you've got to go to something else. And I think that they actually played in the hands of the Kangaroos, especially late. The Kangaroos, they did well. They kept persisting with it. But look, Sydney have got to go back to the drawing board and devise something else. Not working, we've got to come up with something very quickly.
The error count would have been high, and the simple fact that they kicked 17 behinds too, they've had 24 scoring shots to 22, and really a lot of those shots on goal were from outside 50, but I thought their use of handball today was poor, and I'm sure Paul Roos would be showing them about let's handball constructively, not for the sake of handballing, and let's be nice and positive to give it in an overlap situation so it creates space, and then we can get into our forwards.
Gutsy win for the Roos. 23-point victors here at Manuka Oval.